Late tonight, President Biden announced a state funeral will be held for former President Jimmy Carter on January 9th and proclaimed a national day of mourning. The longest living U.S. president died this afternoon at the age of 100.
He passed after almost 2 years in hospice care. Jimmy Carter died at his home in the small town of Plains, Georgia, where he and his late wife Rosalind lived a majority of their lives. Carter was a man of many talents, serving as a naval officer for 7 years, then a successful peanut farmer. Then came the politics, first the governor of Georgia, then he became the president from 1977 to 1981. After leaving the Oval Office, he focused on philanthropy. He would go on to win the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. Jimmy Carter is survived by 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 14 great-grandchildren.
Leaders around Colorado are paying tribute. In a statement, Democratic Governor Jared Polis wrote in part, Jimmy Carter advanced the American ideals we cherish most: human rights, international cooperation, compassion, and treating every American equally. Democratic Senator Michael Bennet wrote, quote, he was a devoted family man, principled statesman, and champion for rural communities. His post-presidency set a global standard for dignity and selflessness. And Democratic Senator John Hickenlooper called Carter a good man in the purest sense of the words. Former President Carter did a lot of good here in Colorado.
News reporter Colton Chavez is with us after speaking with one family in Denver whose lives that he helped to change. Colton?
Tom, it was in Denver's Globeville neighborhood that President Carter helped rebuild several homes years ago. And for one family we spoke to today, they say they'll remember the president's impact forever. Few people have a picture with a former president.
Jimmy Carter, Rosalind Carter, myself, and my wife Phyllis.
And even fewer can say their home was fixed by one.
They did a driveway, a handicap ramp, a back porch. They resided my garage, new gutters, new garage door.
In 2013, President Carter partnered with Habitat for Humanity to build 11 new homes and repair another 15 homes in the Denver neighborhood of Globeville. One of those homes belongs to Mario Mora, and he was inside his home when he heard the news that President Carter had passed away.
It was a shocker. Then you get to think about what we got done, and we have a picture with, we got to take pictures with him. We got to speak to him for a few minutes.
Mario says that picture will forever hang inside his home, a reminder of the lasting impact the president had on his country and his community.
He'd done a lot around the world in his time. That was when he came here, it was his 30th anniversary, and it was the work week in Globeville. And for that day that he was here, Globeville was a big family.
Mario tells me that every time he goes home, he remembers that special day back in 2013. Live in Denver tonight, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
A good man helping not as a president or even a former president, but as someone who cared.
As a citizen. Thanks, Colton.
Jimmy Carter was known in his post-presidency for his humanitarian work, like building homes here and in Haiti.
Tonight, our Matt Renew spoke with former 9 News anchor Cheryl Preheim, telling stories about President Carter and their time accompanying him on one of those mission trips.
There's a really funny story someone told us. Someone was asking for directions to find someone's house they were visiting, and President Carter just pulls up in his golf cart and says, "Follow me. I'll show you where they live."
Obviously, Georgia are where his ties are, but he's known all over the world, and he's got connections here in Colorado as well, and connections with the story that we did years ago on 9 News that linked Haiti with Denver.
I'm so happy we got to take that trip, Matt. And do you remember our first interaction with President Carter? Was we were sitting on the plane, we were like towards the back of the plane, and all of a sudden we see President Carter and Rosalind Carter walking down the aisle, and he was saying hello and shaking hands with every single person on the plane.
And greeting people, and then we're jumping up, grabbing whatever cameras we had to try to video some of that, and not a care in the world about any of that.
But it was before Instagram feeds and everything really being documented on cell phones. That was just a former president and current Habitat for Humanity volunteer saying, "Hey, thanks for being along."
And I don't want anybody to plan on going back to your home until all 100 homes are completed.
And he set the pace, and I think maybe some remarkable people noticed as well that they were going to have a hard time keeping up former President Carter.
But Matt, do you remember that story with Garth Brooks? So, it's Haiti. It's in the 90s. It's very humid. We're all working construction from sun up to sundown. And so Garth Brooks went to get some water, and he was standing in a little area with shade. And he said, I was just like getting a breather, taking a little break. And President Carter comes around the corner, looks at him and says, "We didn't come here to rest, Garth. We came here to work."
On a much smaller scale, you and I saw that when we were with him. It was, you sit him down, you get everything situated for an interview with the former president of the United States. And then when he wants to get up during that interview and start showing you what he's talking about, you're picking it up and you're following him along.
That is so true. Yeah, we were sitting in that tent in Haiti doing this one-on-one interview. And then he says, "Hey, I want to show you something." And you're right, he stood up, and it didn't matter that there's cords and wires. And so he starts walking around and he starts showing us, irrigation lines that they have planted and sewage systems because there's no running water.
Doing such important work around the world, that was in Haiti, which teed up another project that they did in Denver, Colorado.
We are very excited to come to Denver because the people in Colorado are so eager to help other people.
On that trip to Haiti is when they made the big announcement that the next big project was going to be a huge gift to the city of Denver, a big project that was coming to Metro Denver the following year that the president and former first lady came to spearhead.
Those of us that got the opportunity and privilege to meet him will be thinking back on those memories here now and just enjoying some of those great moments.
And I love that there is like a legacy neighborhood in Denver of that time that will always be there and that will be a gift to other generations. And we all have an opportunity to carry on that work and to see the world in that way and to know we can make a difference.
Thanks to Matt Renew for that. Always good to see Cheryl Preheim back here as well. Jimmy Carter had a very rich and extraordinary 100-year life. He had such an impact, and we have more of coverage of President Carter's life and legacy for you on our website at 9news.com.
From the Front Range to the foothills, people are preparing for the possibility of wildfires tomorrow. The National Weather Service is warning of strong winds. That, combined with dry conditions, means the risk for fire is at a critical level. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says fire departments will be at higher staffing levels to respond quickly if needed.
If there is a fire reported, it will have a heavier initial response to make sure that we can attack that fire and contain that fire before it turns into something bigger.
The high wind warning will be active as we mark 3 years to the day since the most destructive wildfire in Colorado history. The Marshall Fire destroyed more than 1,000 homes. 9 News meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen is here now. And Corey, people can't be careful enough. We got to think about everything we do tomorrow.
Everything. There should be no fires in this red flag warning zone. And so anything that you see suspicious, any smoke should be reported because it could get out of hand very quickly in these high winds, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds possible here. That's why we have a 9 News weather impact day for tomorrow. Mostly northeast, northwest winds just scraping across the state tomorrow. And we also have warnings up in the high country for snow. We have the 5th consecutive night here with winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings going all the way overnight into the day tomorrow till about 5 p.m. Here's your day here in Denver. We're looking at these winds knocking on our doors as early as 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, going all through the day till about 3 or 4 p.m. before they finally start to diminish. I'll have more on the timing of these winds and the fire danger coming up in the full forecast.